Alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Have you ever felt like something or someone was taking up too much space in your heart? A connection so strong that it made you vulnerable. Maybe you're even experiencing it right now. Know this: Allah never takes anything away from His servant without a reason. He doesn't deprive you to make you suffer, He educates you. He prepares you for a greater elevation. But before that, He tests your attachment. And often, this test doesn't come from where you expect it. It's not a sudden pain. It's something that takes hold over time. A person you refuse to leave, a sin you constantly excuse, a habit you hide even from yourself. An invisible attachment that gradually distances you from Allah without you even realizing it. Remember the story of Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him. He prayed for years for a son. And when Ismail was granted to him, Allah asked him something that no one could understand. Sacrifice it. How? How can a father sacrifice the son he loves? But what Allah asked of him was not murder. It was a total abandonment of human attachment in favor of divine love. And it was when his heart completely submitted that Allah replaced the sacrifice with a sheep. It was submission, not blood, that Allah wanted. You too have Ismails in your life. Things you believe are essential, but which Allah might ask you to let go of. And that's where the trial begins. That's where the sorting begins. What binds you to Allah will set you free. What binds you to this world will bring you down. Perhaps Allah has already shown you a sign, a gradual distancing of a connection, an opportunity you missed, a person who is drifting away despite your best efforts. What if it wasn't a punishment? What if it was a purification? You see, attachment is not in itself a fault, but it becomes dangerous when it begins to compete the place of Allah in your heart. When you get up in the morning and think about that thing before you think about your prayer. When you put more effort into preserving a relationship than you do into preserving your connection with your Creator. And that's where divine love works. Not by hitting you, but by tearing you apart. By gently and wisely moving away from what is deeply harming you. The human heart is like this. It clings. It fears emptiness. It resists change. And yet, Allah says, perhaps you hate something even though it is good for you. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:216. What if you accepted this detachment as proof of divine love, as a sign that you are chosen for more light, more faith, more reliance on Allah? But then, how do you know if what you are experiencing is a punitive withdrawal or a selection test? The sequel will bring you that answer. Prepare your heart. Because what you are about to discover could very well transform your relationship with everything you believe you cannot let go of. In the heart of every human being, there are things that they believe are essential. Realities that they think are impossible to abandon. People, projects, dreams, or even habits that have been ingrained since childhood. And these things sometimes end up becoming emotional idols, pillars without which we believe we can no longer exist. But what happens when Allah invites you to put them down, to let go of them, to free them from your heart? What you believe to be indispensable is often what your soul has linked to your happiness. Yet, it is only an illusion, because nothing is indispensable except Allah. Everything you love today can be gone tomorrow. And that's not a curse, it's divine wisdom. A constant reminder that this world is fragile, that excessive attachment is a trap, that true stability is in faith, not in things. Sometimes you cling to someone who isn't yours, to a life you will never have, to a version of yourself you refuse to let go of. And the more you resist, the more the pain sets in. Because Allah, in His rahmah, continues to remove what harms you, even if you continue to believe you need it. That is the test. Not the loss, but the inner struggle between what your heart wants and what your soul needs. The biggest lie Shaitan instills is that you cannot live without what you have lost. He implants in you the fear of emptiness, the fear of abandonment, the fear of the unknown. Yet, Allah never takes away without a reason. He doesn't destroy. He rebuilds. But sometimes, to build the man or woman you're meant to become, we must break the old model. You see, the prophets themselves had to let go of what they thought was irreplaceable. Yusuf, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, lost his family, his freedom, his honor, before becoming a minister. Musa, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, had to flee everything he knew to return stronger with a mission. Even our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, lost his dearest supporters, his land, his companions, before the light of Allah spread throughout the peninsula. What you believe is essential today could be the obstacle to your true mission. But then, why does it hurt so much? Because humans cling more than they submit. They love more than they reflect. They idealize more than they question. And it's in this imbalance that dependence is born. You think it's love, but sometimes it's just a fear of loneliness. You think it's a plan for the future, but maybe it's just a refuge from uncertainty. And Allah, in His wisdom, frees you from it. Even if you cry, deep down, you know that this thing, this relationship, this habit, it's no longer aligned with your spiritual path. You feel it in your heart, but you still refuse to let go. You tell yourself you can handle it, that you'll find balance. But how much longer will you delay your inner transformation? And what if, precisely, the peace you seek depended on your ability to let go? What do you think is essential? What if what you refuse to let go of is the source of your delay, your heaviness, your confusion? Sometimes you have to losing what you love to find what you are. And sometimes we even have to give up what we believe we are, to allow Allah to reveal what we really are. But then, how do I recognize the signs of a toxic attachment and know that what I am experiencing is a call from Allah for change? The following will enlighten you, bi-idhnillah. Prepare yourself to come face to face with your own heart. There is an uncomfortable truth that few dare to face. Being chosen by Allah does not mean living an easy life. On the contrary, it means weathering storms that others will never understand. It means being willing to walk alone, to give up what everyone else desires, to live against the current simply because Allah has selected you to carry a greater weight. And that weight is the weight of sacrifice. The chosen ones are not those who have everything. The chosen ones are those who have given everything. And not to just anyone. They have placed everything in the hands of Allah. Even what they loved. Even what they held dear with all their might. Because they understood that nothing should compete with Allah in their hearts. And this renunciation, this inner break, is the price of elevation. You cannot become what Allah wants you to be without letting a part of you die. And this part is often the one that resists submission, the one that seeks to negotiate, the one that wants to love Allah but on His terms, the one that says, I trust you, but keeps a plan B just in case. But Allah doesn't want half-hearted trust. He wants naked, burning, wholehearted faith. And for this, He prunes you. He strips you. The sacrifice of the elect is not a spiritual fiction. It is a lived reality, a constant pain, a wrenching of the heart, but which paradoxically makes the soul lighter, purer, more aligned. They know that what they lose in the visible, they find in the invisible. What they leave behind in this world, Allah multiplies for the hereafter. But to get there, you have to accept losing. Losing a relationship that wasn't healthy. Losing an opportunity that took you away from Allah. Losing a comfort zone that was putting you to sleep. Losing a you that you thought you were, but which prevented you from revealing yourself. You will never be able to enter your divine destiny with the ties of your old life. You will not be able to taste the peace that comes from being close to Allah if your heart is still cluttered with what you refuse to give up. And what many forget is that every sincere sacrifice is seen, noted, loved by Allah. There is not a tear that you shed, not an effort that you make, not a farewell that you suffer, but your Lord rewards it. But only someone who has been stripped can understand this. Only someone who has seen a world fall apart can see a new light emerge. For Allah never leaves His chosen ones in darkness. He passes through them, with them. You may think your life is falling apart, but maybe it's the old version of you that's fading away. Maybe what you're experiencing is a renewal, not a destruction. And this renewal always begins with mourning. The mourning of your attachments, your illusions, your resistance. This is the price of rebirth. And you, are you ready to pay for it? Are you ready to be separated from what you believe to be essential to you in order to be connected to the one who is the very essence of all existence? In sacrifice, there is not only loss, there is a secret, a divine promise. And we are going to reveal this promise now. You think you've lost. You look at this emptiness that life has imposed on you, and you believe it is synonymous with abandonment. But if only you could see with the eyes of your soul, you would understand that this emptiness is not an absence. It is a sacred space. It is there, in this painful breach, that the light of Allah can finally enter. What you have let go of, what you have let go of, what you have buried in the silence of your heart, all of this, Allah has seen. Nothing has been ignored. Every sigh, every restraint, every discreet effort has been counted by the one who sees even what you dare not say. Allah never takes without giving. He never asks for a sacrifice without secretly preparing a reward worthy of what your heart dared to offer. Therein lies His promise, not in the things you possess, but in what you have placed in His hands without understanding why. For trust begins where logic ends. When you choose to say, Ya Allah, I do not understand, but I trust you, you do not lose, you win. You do not descend, you rise. And even if you do not yet see anything, know that in the invisible, a new script is being drawn for you. Many people think that letting go means giving up. Instead, it's the beginning of a peace that nothing can steal. As long as you hold on to what you don't control, you live in fear. But the day you finally let go of that weight, that inner struggle, that thing you've been keeping hidden, that day, a silent peace begins to take hold. A peace that no longer depends on anyone. A peace between you and Allah. Because you now know that everything you thought was a loss was, in reality, a purification. And purification is a privilege reserved for those whom Allah loves. Do not seek to recover what He has taken from you. Do not attempt to rebuild what He has deconstructed. Instead, look at what your heart has become since it is a little freer. Look at the calm, the lucidity, the space. This is where the promise begins. Allah did not ask you to live to punish you. He asked you to trust Him in what you do not see. And he who agrees to place everything in God's hands enters another dimension of faith. He leaves the surface to go into the depths. He no longer expects peace from the world. He expects it from his Lord. There are blessings you cannot bear while you are still attached to what you believe you are owed. There are levels of light that are only unlocked when you are naked before Allah, stripped of everything except your love for Him. That is when the promise manifests. It is not necessarily material. It is not always visible. Sometimes it is just a relief that nothing explains. Sometimes it is a door that opens when you had given up hope. Sometimes it is a heart that suddenly heals, as if the pain had never existed. And sometimes it is simply the deep feeling that you finally belong. He who gives to Allah always receives more, but he does not receive it according to his expectations. He receives it according to the wisdom of a Lord who knows your future, your heart, and what you dare not even dream of. And the more you advance, the more you understand that what you left was nothing compared to what He has in store for you. Every surrender was a key, every tear was a seed, and every silence, a silent prayer heard in the heavens. So now that you have left, that you have cried, that you have understood, are you ready to welcome? Are you ready to receive not what you want, but what Allah has chosen for you? For what He has for you is greater, purer, more eternal than anything you have lost. And now you're asking yourself, how can I discern what God still expects of me? How can I know what I still need to give up to finally experience the peace I'm seeking? The answer lies where your heart still resists. Let's continue. You want to move forward. You want to find the light again. That peace you've already tasted, even if only for a moment. But something is blocking you. There's a heaviness, a confusion, an inner tension you can't name. And you ask yourself, what does Allah still expect of me? What haven't I let go of yet? Where is the knot that's still holding back the fluidity between Him and me? The answer isn't in what you say, but in what your heart still refuses to face. There are silent areas in the soul, deep attachments that we dress up with good intentions, bonds that we disguise as love when they are in reality chains. It may be a relationship, a person that you refuse to free or leave. Perhaps you are afraid of hurting or of finding yourself alone. It may be a habit that you know well that you no longer accept, but that you continue to maintain in the shadows, because it soothes your discomfort without ever truly healing it. It may also be a word that you refuse to say, a decision that you push away, a truth that you hide from those around you, but especially from yourself. And yet, you feel it. You know, deep down, that this is precisely where Allah is watching you. Allah, in His mercy, never forces you to give up all at once. He awakens you little by little. He sends you signs, silences, delays, blockages. He allows you to confront your own inner disorder until you have no choice but to open your eyes. And often, it's not a big thing. It's a detail, a discreet resistance. But it's there, like a speck of dust in the cogs of your faith. As long as it's there, you can't turn freely. You move forward, but slowly. You pray, but without flavor. You invoke, but without elevation. Because Allah is still waiting for an act, a letting go, a silent yes in a specific place in your soul. So how do you know what to let go of? Listen to your body, observe your silences, question your emotions. Where do you feel restlessness? What scares you at the mere thought of losing it? What causes anger, dependence, control? These are often the places where Allah works. He doesn't seek to make you suffer. He seeks to free you from what prevents you from fully entering His peace. And this peace isn't free. It is purchased with detachment. It is obtained through acceptance. What you must let go of isn't necessarily what others see. It's what you hide. It's what you rationalize intelligently, but which your heart knows is a veil. It's what slows down your prayer, what darkens your thoughts, what distracts you from the truth. And sometimes, it's also a project, something you want more than anything, but which isn't aligned with what Allah wants for you. And He shows it to you, but you persist. You say, maybe this will change. But it's not the thing that must change. It's your attachment to it. So yes, letting go is scary. Letting go requires courage. But what you give up for Allah is never lost. It is a seed that you plant in the invisible. And soon, the fruit will come. You will understand why it was necessary. You will see that what you believed to be a loss was in fact a passage. And if today you still feel this tugging, this inner conflict, ask yourself one question. Am I still holding on to what God has already asked me to let go? It's time to listen, not to your head, but to your soul. Because it knows. It always has. And now you just have to really listen to it. There is a moment, discreet, that few notice, but which transforms everything. It is not the moment when you lose, nor the one when you cry, nor even the one when you let go. It is the one that comes right after. When, for the first time, you breathe differently. You get up without that thing. You move forward without that person. You pray without that project in your head. And strangely, you do not collapse. You do not break. You live. And then, you realize that what you thought was your end was in fact the beginning. This inner silence is not a void. It is a rebirth. The soul, when purified by surrender, rediscovers a forgotten purity. What encumbered it is no longer there. What weighed it down has fallen away. And in this lightness, it begins to feel the sweetness of a bond with Allah that is no longer parasitic. The heart, now free, begins to taste simple things. A prayer that soothes you without explanation. A night when you wake up for no reason and feel that He is there. A word from the Quran that falls into your heart like an answer, like a caress. You no longer need to understand everything. You are simply at peace. Those who have left everything for Allah know this peace. It is not an explosive joy. It is not euphoria. It is softer, quieter, deeper. It is as if your soul has found its home again. As if it is finally saying, I am where I was meant to be. And yet, outwardly, nothing has changed. You have not earned more money. You have not recovered what you lost. You have not been applauded or recognized. But you know that you have gained something far more precious. Yourself. You are no longer the same. You have crossed over. You have become someone else. And this version of you is aligned, centered, peaceful. It no longer needs to run after the love of others, because it knows that the love of Allah is enough. It no longer depends on a specific future, because it has understood that the true destination is the encounter with God. It no longer lives according to what the world gives or takes away, but according to what Allah inspires. And this is where true life begins. Not the life of appearances, not the life of visible successes, but the life of the soul. The life that feeds on dhikr, that breathes in prostrations, that finds its strength in absolute trust. This is where you become strong. Not because you possess, but because you no longer need to possess to be well. Not because you control, but because you have finally surrendered. And in this surrender, you have found your true power, that of one who needs only his Lord. This rebirth needs no witnesses. It is lived in silence. It is not announced, it is felt. And those who know you feel it too. Your gaze is deeper. Your words are gentler. Your choices are clearer. You don't need to prove anything. Your peace speaks for you. For Allah, when He rebuilds a heart, leaves His mark. He marks it with His light. And this heart becomes a sign for others. Living proof that one can fall, lose, leave everything behind, and be reborn. But to remain in this state, you must be vigilant. For the old you, the one who clung, who doubted, who controlled, is always looking to return. It lurks. It waits for you to weaken. It invites you to regret, to look back. And that is when you must be steadfast. Do not return to where Allah has removed you. Do not rekindle what God has extinguished. Do not seek to revive what has been purified by the fire of trial. Rebirth is a choice, a daily choice. The choice to remain in the light, even if the shadows are familiar. The choice to move forward in faith, even if fear follows you. The choice to say, I choose Allah, again and again, even when everything in you wants to return to what was easier. And you? Are you ready to protect this new version of yourself? Are you ready to stay true to the peace you've worked so hard to achieve? Because only now, after everything you've been through, does the real journey begin.